Good evening, everyone. I hope you all had wonderful weekends. Let's jump into Collectively Rewilding. All right, here we are, and we're all ready to jump into the garden planning Q&A. I don't know, did I talk to you guys at all about putting a tree up against a building or a fence to save space? Did we talk about that in one of the classes? Do you guys remember?
I might have missed it.
Does anybody else remember? It was the last class or two for sure if we did, but I don't think that we did. Okay, so one of the things that I have found recently that is useful for those of us that don't have large properties, like Benny, right? And then like you too. No, Kendo, do you have a large property like that too? Or am I mixing the two of you up?
I have a, it's a fairly large property.
Is it around an acre?
I think so.
You think so? Okay, so maybe you both have a larger property like that because it seems like somebody said it is an acre or something. And so it sounds like that might have been more Benny. So for those of us who don't have such wonderfully large properties, there's something called Espalier training. And let's just look that up so that you guys have a visual of what I'm talking about. We did the highs and lows today. That's what we're getting ready to jump into, a whole bunch of different things like that. But let's look this up first. And then we'll look at some images. And it's a tree that you plant. Oh, and look, they've done it without. Ooh, that's very interesting. Very interesting. But you plant it right up against it, and it saves on space. And the branches that are there that do come are like 30% more productive, something to that effect. And then I do want to definitely check out this picture, an espalier support trellis. That's really interesting, so that you could do this without a fence or a wall. That's really neat. So let's just pull that article up for later. Whoa, I don't even know what happened there. Did we have that many add-on? We must have. Okay, goodness, that was a little bit trippy there. Let's X this out so it's not going to scream at us. And then I was going to do, oh yes, I wanted to go back to the AI description that they provided here, because I think that that'll probably be some pretty valuable information to add on what I have here, because all I have here is, in crowded cities, Romans saved space by training fruit tree branches to grow flat against walls or fences. This method triggers the tree to put more energy into fruit production rather than vertical growth, yielding 3 to 5 times more fruit per square foot. Wow, right? Now you have less tree, so I don't know, you'd have to almost do a study where you have a wall right next to a tree that you plant and then see which actually grew more fruit in a traditional or this espalier fashion, right? But that's just really interesting. And I'm really interested in trying that here on this property along the north fence and the western fence. They're not the cardinal directions exactly, but this is the more northerly wall and this is the more westerly wall, right? And so the north, that just is great because it doesn't block any sun from the garden, right? And that'll give us privacy where there's this apartment complex right back there. That'll start adding some privacy to our backyard and also provide the opportunity to have a lot more fruit trees on the property. And then the west will actually be for shade to help give some shade from that afternoon just brutal heat that they deal with here in the west, right? And so this is a much broader explanation. Espalier training is an ancient horticultural art of pruning and tying trees or shrubs to grow. Oh, let's try that again. Espalier training is an ancient horticultural art of pruning and tying trees or shrubs to grow flat against a support, like a wall or trellis, creating beautiful, space-saving two-dimensional patterns for ornamental or fruit-bearing plants. This technique involves establishing tiers of horizontal branches, often using a central leader by carefully selecting and training young, supple branches and pruning unwanted growth throughout the year to encourage specific forms, maximizing sunlight and yield in small spaces. All right. Key principles: flat growth. The goal is to force branches into a single plane, 2D, against a structure unlike natural 3D growth. Supports uses walls, fences, or custom-built wire trellises to guide branch direction. Pruning and tying involves specific cuts to encourage branching and tying supple stems to the support, often done in winter, dormancy, or summer for flowering plants. Tiers, cordons. Branches are trained horizontally in levels, often starting a few feet off the ground and repeating upwards. How it works, the basic steps. 1, plant a young tree. Start with a bare root whip, unbranched sapling, right? You don't want it to have already started growing all around, so you need a baby sapling. Establish first tier. Cut the main stem leader to stimulate side branches. Select 2 strong opposite branches and tie them horizontally to the first support wire. Develop next tier. In the next dormant season, cut the new leader above the second wire, select 2 new side branches, and train them horizontally. Repeat. Continue this process for desired tiers. 3 to 4 is common. Maintain. Throughout the growing season, remove unwanted vertical shoots, suckers, and prune side shoots to maintain shape and encourage fruit spurs. Benefits: space saving, ideal for small gardens, patios, or narrow walls. Aesthetics, creates living sculptural art. Increased yield, better sun exposure and warmer microclimates from walls can improve fruit quality and quantity. Common plants are apples, pears, figs, quinces, and citrus. And then for ornamentals, use magnolias, cotton Easter, dogwood, and camellias. Very interesting, really fun stuff. And then another little insert that I have here, and let's pull up a brand new tab so that I can keep that and I'll share that for you guys, is called a hotbed system. And to grow vegetables like cucumbers in winter without electricity, Romans used hotbeds. They dug trenches filled with fresh manure and straw covered by soil. The heat generated by the decomposing manure warmed the soil from below, allowing for year-round cultivation. Okay, so you maybe have heard that you don't want to put too much manure right into your garden because it can burn your plants. As it's decomposing, it's releasing massive amounts of heat, okay? So you dig down and then you place your manure and then you put your soil on top of that, and it's going to stay so warm that maybe you have to do a little bit of covering, yes, but you could grow plants through the winter. And I just thought that that was some really neat pieces to add to all of our non-traditional now growing styles, right? They're more ancient traditional methods that we've lost. And so bringing that back is really a lot of fun. And so this one is a little bit harder to implement. I don't know that I would want to do this without a pretty small space. So where we're doing the big potager and we have the 4 L-shaped beds, I wouldn't want to do one of those, but we're talking about doing some 4x4s up front, just because that's something that Nicole Burke in Gardenary talks about a lot. And it's also very reachable throughout the whole planter. And so going out and doing one of those where you dig down, put a layer of manure, and then put your soil back on top of it and covering it throughout the year. The front yard is sunnier than the backyard, although our backyard is just blessed with so much sun. I'm so grateful for it. Our front yard is sunnier, so that would be a positive. And we're going to do probably 2 or 3 of those out front, maybe 2 4x4s and one of the bigger beds that I originally had intended, something like maybe an 8x8 that has a 4x4 on top of it with the Hugel Couture pieces built into it to really provide that wonderful water retention and the visual distraction or the physical distinction of having the pyramid style beds, right? It's aesthetically pleasing. So this would be something that maybe on those two 4x4 beds we could do. That would be realistic, something that's approachable that you could actually do that with, and an even smaller garden would be easier. So if you had, a 3x3, that's a really good one when you have children. 3x3, because then the children should be able to go around and reach in all the way around. And a 3x3 would just be that much easier, but you could still grow a decent little bit in it, right? And so two fun things that we can add into that ancient methodology that we talk about. And so this was from the Evergreen Seniors. They really talk about a lot of ancient practices, which is of course appropriate for their channels material, right? Evergreen Seniors, bringing evergreen material back from the past where you've lived long enough to learn about these different things. So a really fun channel and some really fun pieces, and at least one of which we're going to implement here in Collectively Rewilding's garden. So that was something I definitely wanted to cover with you guys really quickly. And then this is another article that you guys should definitely check out. I believe that it's already been posted in Collectively Rewilding. Let's just check. We'll jump up here to what's new today and see. It takes my letters away. How to winter. That's what we're looking for. How to winter sow seeds. Nothing. Okay. I apologize. I thought I shared that for you. I might have shared it into the next year because I'm not quite ready to dig into something like this myself. So let's just pull the article up, and I do want another tab because I want to keep both of those little detailed explanations, and I will put them up for you at the end of class. Okay, so this is how to winter sow seeds in, oh, I wanted it to do it. Sounds like my dog and cat are playing. In 7 easy steps. All right. This is an article though, and it's by Danielle Sherwood. Let's see if we have that. Nope, not yet. So let's just type in the artist's name. And then that should get it. Okay, so we did have it. I just wasn't sure which one it was. And so this is something that if any of you are just itching to get out there, this is something within all of our reach, really basic, simple way to start seedlings outside. And it provides all kinds of fun benefits, definitely worth checking out. So I will share this for you guys in the group, but you can see, I think, pretty well here. Let me make that picture just a little bit bigger. You simply take some sort of jug that at least some sunlight can come through, right? These aren't perfectly clear, but they're still at least partially translucent. You cut them in half and you put your soil with drainage holes. Then you want to tape that lid back on, and then you can open it up on hotter days so that it's not having problems. You leave the lids off for it to vent in general. And this is something that you can check out doing right now anywhere that isn't as hot as something like Ken does, right? You may have to leave your lids off more than not, right? You got to keep a closer eye on them in the warmer areas. But this is a lot of fun and something I would really love to have the time to do right now, as I don't have a greenhouse, right? That's really the distinction of whether or not you can easily grow things in places that get as cold as where I am. Something that you can control the temperature on there. And then just grab the title. Okay, and so that's out there for you guys to check out. Really cute, fun little article. Also another way to, I've done something weird. Okay, let's do it here. Another way to increase the length of your growing season and do it with relative cost effectiveness, right? As long as you have the soil already, you really have no extra costs to it. It's just if you don't have the soil, you might have to put $20 into it and you'll still have soil left over, and that soil will just go with them right into the area that you transplant. So it's a wonderful little project that anyone could undertake at this time of year. And so now I'd really like to jump into something that I have been sharing with you guys. And I don't think that I have gotten much traction with it yet, but I would really like you to take a look at it and let's work on at least some of this tonight in class for all of you. Okay. So as you'll see, I went ahead and encouraged you all to jump in and do this. This was the first day. This is the Gardenary 31 days to your 2026 garden challenge by Gardenary. And it's very simple. Each stage is relatively easily accomplished, and it's going to add up to this nice little set of information. I really encourage you to go ahead and grab your copy of the journal here. You'll need to give your email address is all, and then you have it all right there ready to hand, and you can look ahead, or if you didn't finish something, go back and you have it right there. Easy, quick to print. It is, I believe, only about 36 pages. It is a little bit longer. She has a couple of advertisements in there and some things like that. And of course, if you can print back to back, you're looking at 16 or 17 pages. Really fun, easy steps. So for today, let's pull up the little worksheet here. You want to, well, not today, this was the first day, excuse me. You want to learn your first frost date, find the predicted first and last frost date for your town or city in 2026. My first frost date in October 25 is October 25th, 2026, and my last frost date is predicted to be April 7th, 2026. What's yours? And so she says it first, last, but of course we think about last first. So the last frost date for her area is going to be April 7th of this year, and the first frost will be October 25th. All right. And so there's this great little calendar, or not calendar, calculator that you can jump in and use. And so I've put that here because you can't access it on the picture, of course. And so you just jump into the Gardenary date calculator. And so who wants to go first?
I can.
All right. Go ahead, Candace.
30236.
30236.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And so you have it here. It's just all so nicely laid out for you. The nearest climate station is even explained here. You're at 930 feet in elevation, and your last spring frost will be around the end of March, March 31st. And then your first fall frost is going to be November 6th. All right.
Nice.
Right? I love this thing. It's so cute. And then let's go ahead and just post that there. Then we will grab this little line here so that it sees what's going on. And hey, here we go. All right, and so now you guys can just copy those and put them in a notebook or add them to your Gardenary journal if you jump on over there and get the garden or get the journal, right? All right, who's next? All right, Mr. Benny, I'm calling you out. What's your zip code? And I will post your information.
It's 02703.
Oh, wow, I was waiting for it in the chat. Let me jump back over here. Okay, say that again, Benny.
02703.
All right. Nice. Now you're at 95 feet in elevation. I mean, wow, that is low. I don't know if I've ever lived at that low of an elevation myself. And so your last spring frost is going to be May 2nd. Okay, that it can be in June in Cortez. So not as horrible, but not early, right? and your first fall frost will be October 8th. So about a week, or I mean a month after Kindes there.
Cool.
Right. I think it's fun to look at everybody's different information pieces compared to the other people's information pieces. I think it's neat, for sure. All right, so let's grab this so everyone knows what we're doing. And then there is Benny's. All right. Then, all right, Miss Candace, you're up. Let me jump over to our little box here. What is your zip code, if you don't mind? And she may be busy, guys. I know sometimes she pops in and she can't talk. So let's give her a second, see if maybe she wants to put it in the chat. Okay, I'm thinking no. All right, so let's move on then. All right, Tammy, what is yours again? I should know it. You're right. I did it for you, I think, earlier today. But what is yours again?
It's 92311.
I was really close in my head there. I might have even had it, but I'd rather not guess. Okay, so here you are at 2,200 feet, and your last spring frost is March 3rd. So again, pretty early. And your first fall frost is November 17th. So you have a gorgeous long growing season, right? Both you and Kindes. Benny and I, not quite as much. So we didn't show mine here, but it's 4,900 feet and May 11th and October 11th, respectively. So I'm right there with you, Betty. I'm in fact a little bit later last spring frost, but also a little bit later first fall frost, right? Okay, so this is Tammy. Grab this. And now your digit. Super fun. All right. One more. Miss Vanessa, are you able to unmute and give us your zip code?
It's 36507.
Okay, and so 271 feet, very low still. You're going to be March 9th, early again, and November 17th. So you have the exact same last frost date as, is it Kindes that had November 17th, I think? Let's jump in and check. No, Miss Tammy. So you and Miss Tammy have the exact same last or first fall frost there. All right. Very fun. All right. Let's just try one more time. Candace, are you there where you could give us your zip code so that we could put yours in here as well? Okay, well, we all know she knows how to unmute, so I'm going to say probably not. All right, so that was it, guys. That was the first day. See how easily these are accomplished? And so now let's go ahead and jump into day 2. This is what we did when we put up Tammy's picture of her home and we were outlining the boundaries, right? And so this is what mine looks like. I have 3 distinct areas, and then I'm actually going to, you can see the hill here, that really slight little slope. This over here will be the potager in the back with the native around it and a lilac bush. I gotta have my lilac bush. And then this is going to be more rewilded with lots of traditional garden plants thrown in, right? So here's the swale, and that will be asparagus, wild strawberries, alyssum, and oh, I had one other that I want to put out there. Oh, I can't remember. Asparagus, alyssum, was another A. Oh, amaranth, and the wild strawberries, right? 3 A's and the wild strawberries. And so you can see how it's a mixture. The wild strawberries, they're more towards the rewilded side, and yet they're strawberries. So we think of them as an absolutely traditional garden plant. And then asparagus is something that you will find growing on ditches, wild, in many, many parts of the country. So it's a traditional garden veggie, but tending towards that wild. I have amaranth. There's a lot of wild amaranth. That I don't know if you ever get the red or pink amaranth from the wild. I would guess that you do in certain regions. What grows here natively is a grayish beige. It's a very bland plant, but it has its own beauty. I've grown the red or pink variety in that swale there. So it's a more cultivated native plant, right? And so it's got that nice, fun little mixture with alyssum being so good for pollinators. And so we'll let you guys all do this, but all you have to do, it's so easy, and it's all put together here for you. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. X out of that, and then this is the button I need. Okay, is go to Google Earth, and then you're going to put your address in, and you can walk it. There is a way, so let's just do a new map, and we'll go with my let's go close to where I grew up in Cortez, Colorado. Oh, I should put the road, huh? 714. And we'll go there. Okay. Weird. Okay, but this is correct here. So jump down there. Okay. And look at this property specifically. I feel like we're not looking at it correctly. Something's weird. Okay, I can see the property lines enough, right? So we're going to just grab the property line here. I can see this one the most clearly. All right. Then what we're going to do is we're going to grab this measure distance and area. So for this property right here, we want to add a point, and then we're going to come back to, I feel like this is not the right street. Like, where is the alleyway? Is this all a part of their property? Alleyway back there? Yes, it is. Okay, so it goes all the way to back here, and then it's going to come across to about here, and we're going to come up right between those two homes right there and place it here, and then we're going to close the shape here. And that is their whole property. They have this big garage in the back and the property here, right? So that gives you a perimeter and the total area. Now then, if someone wanted to map off certain sections for gardening, like I did more with my own property, right? And so that's how easy it is, guys. I really encourage you to do this. It really does help you see what you're looking at, as well as give you some rough estimates, but pretty close to accurate rough estimates, right? And so I really do encourage you to jump in there and check that out and put your Google Earth description of your property here in the comments. It's a lot of fun. Now, let's just jump really quickly into 3, and we'll save, we've already got 4 and 5 up. 6 will be coming tomorrow, but we'll have class again tomorrow, and then we'll go through those 3 tomorrow. So the third day, again, so simple, you guys. Almost all of you grew something. I think all of you did grow something this year. Maybe Benny didn't actually specifically grow something, but whatever you did, even if it was just to start making plans, okay, whatever you feel like your biggest success in the garden this year was, and your most significant lesson in the garden this year, just 2 sentences. And again, I encourage you to print this up and put it on your little book, as well as throwing it up here in the comments to play along with everyone else. But this is one of those activities that you'll kind of just want to do both of them together. Shouldn't take you 30 minutes, I wouldn't think, right? So come in, jump in. You've already gotten your feet on the ground with your first and last frost dates of every year, right? Now come in and do day 2 with your Google Earth and day 3 with just really thinking back to what you did over this last growing season, right? What did you do? What is your best success? And what is your biggest lesson? All right. And so let's jump into the calendar. I know this was kind of a fast-paced class. We're not usually quite that fast, but I had a lot that I really wanted to talk to you guys about and encourage you to step in and do. And these are the kinds of things that are really going to set you up for your best success yet in the garden, no matter where you take that garden to. Doing these little things, but doing them consistently, right? I had to do 2 today. I hadn't done step 4, and then of course I needed to do step 5. So I had 2 that I had to do, and it doesn't take very long, even if a few of them pile up on you. They're very simple. They're going to give you a really good idea of what's going on in your own garden, and they're quite fun, I think. I mean, I loved worksheets when I was a child, so who knows if everybody feels that way, but I think that they're a lot of fun. And this is certainly more personal than the worksheets that we did for the majority of the time when we were in school, right? And so we will be back tomorrow for Plan Your Wild workshop, and that is going to be at 4:00 p.m. Pacific, 5:00 p.m. Mountain, 6:00 p.m. Central, and 7:00 p.m. Eastern. Hope to see you all there, and I hope you have a wonderful start to your weeks, everybody. Please feel free to unmute and say goodnight.
Good night, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Good night,
Have a
everybody.
great day tomorrow. See you all.